Katie Holmes grew up in Toledo, Ohio, the youngest of 5 siblings in a Catholic family that believed in rules, education, and hard work. She wasn't raised in Hollywood. She was raised in a house where school came first, and her parents expected all the kids to perform well. And Katie did just that. She kept a perfect 4.0 GPA and even scored 1310 on her SATs, which could have easily gotten her into an Ivy League college. In fact, Columbia University accepted her, and her father hoped she'd become a doctor. But Katie had other plans. Her heart was already set on acting, even though she hadn't even stepped onto a real film set yet. At just 14 years old, Katie started attending a local modeling school. That led to a competition in New York, where she first caught the attention of people in the industry. She didn't have any Hollywood connections or formal acting training, but her natural charm and talent stood out. She recorded her first audition tape in her family's basement, with her mom reading the other lines. That tape landed in the right hands, and it changed her life. Acclaimed director Ang Lee saw it and gave Katie a role in his movie The Ice Storm, where she acted alongside legends like Kevin Kline and Sigourney Weaver. It was her first film and she hadn't even finished high school yet. Her breakout moment came with a second basement audition tape. This time, she couldn't fly to Los Angeles because she had a school play. So she did what she knew, turned on the camera in her basement and sent in the tape. That tape got her the role of Joey Potter in Dawson's Creek, a show that premiered in 1998 and quickly became one of the most beloved teen dramas of its time. Joey was smart, emotional, and tough, and Katie played her with honesty and heart. She became the only actor to appear in all 128 episodes. Fans loved her for her authenticity. Her on-screen romance with Pacey Witter became one of the biggest pop culture moments of the early 2000s. Katie's fame exploded. She was on magazine covers, award show stages, and all over teen fan mail. But through it all, she stayed grounded. She used to look up hard words from the script in a dictionary just to make sure she fully understood her lines. That kind of discipline followed her into adulthood. While Katie's rise was smooth and fast, Tom Cruise's life had been far more chaotic. Born in 1962 in Syracuse, New York, Tom grew up constantly on the move. By the time he was 14, he'd been to 15 different schools. His family struggled. His dad couldn't keep a job, and the home life was far from peaceful. Tom once called his father a merchant of chaos, and he meant it. There was abuse, instability, and a sense of fear that never quite left him. His mother eventually left his father, taking Tom and his siblings to start over. Life didn't get easier, but it became safer. Tom had a hard time in school too. He had dyslexia, which made reading a challenge and schoolwork exhausting. But he was athletic and threw himself into sports, especially wrestling. That was his outlet, until a knee injury forced him to stop. For a brief time, Tom thought he might become a priest. He even joined a seminary but was asked to leave after being caught sneaking liquor. Soon after, he found acting. He played Nathan Detroit in Guys and Dolls at school, and something clicked. He felt alive. He felt seen. And for the first time, he thought maybe this was something he could do with his life. At 18, Tom left high school, packed his things, and moved to New York City with dreams of becoming a star. He worked as a busboy, struggled to pay rent, and auditioned for anything he could. Eventually, he made his way to Los Angeles and got signed by a talent agency. His first roles were small but promising: Endless Love, Taps, and The Outsiders. Then came Risky Business and not long after Top Gun. Tom Cruise wasn't just a working actor anymore. He was a superstar. Fast forward to the early 2000s. Katie Holmes was a successful TV actress. Tom Cruise was one of the most powerful names in Hollywood. And somewhere in between, Katie had started dating Chris Klein, the guy known for American Pie. Their relationship lasted about 5 years. It was serious. They even got engaged. But in March 2005, it ended quietly. No drama. Just a mutual understanding that things had changed. And then, just weeks later, Katie showed up in Rome with Tom Cruise. Suddenly, the girl next door from Dawson's Creek was dating one of the most famous men in the world. It was fast. Almost too fast. In May 2005, Tom went on the Oprah Winfrey Show and declared his love in a way that became one of TV's most talked about moments. He jumped on the couch, he yelled, and the world watched, confused and entertained. That moment became a symbol of the strange and intense energy that surrounded their relationship. Only 7 weeks after they went public, Tom proposed in Paris, at the Eiffel Tower. Katie, who had just ended an engagement and came from a Catholic background, had now converted to Scientology and was planning a life with a man known for his deep ties to the church. By April 2006, 1 year after their first public appearance, Katie gave birth to their daughter, Suri. Her birth was announced with fanfare, but Suri wasn't seen by the public for months. When she was finally introduced, it was through the cover of Vanity Fair, held by both her parents, smiling for the camera. Behind the scenes, things weren't so cheerful. Tom Cruise had been introduced to Scientology in the 1980s through his first wife, Mimi Rogers. Since then, he had become the religion's most high-profile member. His relationship with David Miscavige, the church's leader, was unusually close. Miscavige was his best man not just at his wedding to Katie, but also to Nicole Kidman. The two men were seen playing tennis, going skydiving, and sharing cigars. But not everyone believed it was a true friendship. Some former Scientologists claimed that Miscavige mocked Cruise behind his back. Others said Cruise received special treatment from the church, including his own private villa at the church's base in California. In 2005, Tom's public support of Scientology reached a peak. He criticized Brooke Shields for taking antidepressants and argued with Matt Lauer on live television, calling psychiatry a pseudoscience. The clips went viral, and public opinion started to shift. Then in 2008, a video surfaced online. Tom Cruise speaking at a Scientology event, making bold claims about Scientologists being the only people who could truly help others. The church tried to remove the video, but the internet had already taken over. The backlash was massive, and a group called Anonymous launched online attacks against Scientology. Cruise's reputation took another hit, and the world started questioning the influence of the church over his life, and maybe even his marriage. Katie, once the bright-eyed actress from Ohio, was now a wife and mother under constant watch. Reports later revealed that she was monitored closely by Scientology operatives. Friends and even family were kept at a distance. There were rumors of secret phone calls to Nicole Kidman. Some said she used burner phones just to plan her exit. And eventually she did. In 2012, Holmes filed for divorce in a surprise move that caught even Tom off guard. She had carefully planned it, making sure she filed in New York where custody laws were more in her favor. She was granted full custody of Suri. Tom hasn't been photographed publicly with his daughter since. Years later, Katie began speaking about that period of her life. She didn't go into all the details, but her words made it clear. She had been living in a world that didn't feel safe or free. Her move to leave wasn't just about ending a marriage. It was about reclaiming her life. The story of Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes isn't just a Hollywood love story. It's a look into how power, belief, fame, and control can twist even the most magical-looking romance. For Tom, it was another chapter in a life shaped by ambition and the need for structure after a chaotic childhood. For Katie, it was about escaping that structure once it began to suffocate her. She started as a small-town girl who made it big in Hollywood and ended up in one of the most talked-about marriages in entertainment history. And then she found her way back out. The world may never know every single detail of what happened between them behind closed doors. But what remains clear is that both Katie Holmes and Tom Cruise are symbols of very different things. One shows how a person can grow, fight for their freedom, and start over. The other shows how fame and belief can intertwine in ways that sometimes raise more questions than answers. If you found this story fascinating, don't forget to subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments. There's always more to the lives of the stars than what we see on camera. And this was just one example of how real life can be stranger than any movie.